ice on my neck. Count up a check. Ice on my neck. Count up a check. Ice on my neck.
Red Sox! Oh my God, Red Sox! What's good, everyone? Welcome back. It's been a little bit. I haven't been in the studio for a little bit. It's been things going on in our lives and some vacations being taken and some issues with the parents at home with the health and everything. But right now, we're in here. But to start off with the Red Sox, like I was just clapping, just to dive right into it, honestly, is because I'm assuming everyone's been paying attention. You probably haven't, but it is what it is. We are struggling, Red Sox. We are struggling.
We lost the lead in the division, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's been a thing. Like, it's been close here and there, back and forth. But the schedule, I mentioned it in I did my video at home. The schedule is getting tough. It's when we really start picking up. You got the Astros this last series, a 4-game series, and you lost the series pretty badly. I mean, the first 2 games weren't close. You lose 2-1, and then you win 5-1. They won today, actually, but like it ended about a half hour ago, I think. So that's a good sign that they didn't get swept, I guess. But you might as well have, because a normal series is 3 games, and they lost 3 in a row to the same team. So, but yeah, the schedule is getting tough. Now they have to come home. Oh no, I'm sorry, they're going to New York from Houston to play the Yankees. Ooh. They got a makeup game with the Marlins, who are still a solid team. Then they play the Astros again here. Then the Blue Jays here in a 4-game series. Then the Braves, Royals, whatever, Rays, Yankees. It's just, this is all through this next month, June.
So it's a tough June.
It's a really tough June. And then July doesn't get any easier. Athletics are still tough. Angels or whatever, you still got Trout, Phillies, Yankees again, Blue Jays again. It's a huge divisional year pretty much for this team. Pretty much everyone's in the division except for the Orioles, which makes sense. Everyone can make the playoffs in the AL East, which is crazy.
The gap between the Rays and the fourth place?
Let me check that for you.
I know, what are we, 2 back? I was checking that earlier.
Yeah, they've been a half a game back and then a game back. So yeah, they're 2 back of the Rays. They're 2.5 up on the Yankees. So that's gonna be a really tough series. If they lose all 3, they lose the second place pretty much. The Blue Jays are 5 games back, so they're 3 games back of the Red Sox. Mm-hmm. The Orioles are 16 back. They haven't won 20 games yet.
So they're already out of it.
Yeah, they've been out of it for 3 years or 4 years now, so whatever. So I complained about the pitching all year for the Red Sox. Starting pitching every once in a while. It's mostly the relief pitching that's the killer, but the bats have not been hitting at all. And here's the main problem with that. When I say the bats aren't hitting, I mean the names we know, like JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, they're in a slump. Verdugo's okay, not really. I mean, clearly they're not doing good enough if they're losing 12-1.
Was it a rough May?
It was a rough back half of May. Bogaerts was 0 for 15 at one point in a row. So that's really not good.
Yeah,
that's your best pure hitter right there. So, and like I said, it's the star names. The other names Bobby Dahlbeck, as much as I love him as a young player, and Kike Hernandez and all of them, they can't hit water if they fell out of a boat, pretty much, on a normal basis. Yeah. So it's if those guys are still doing that, and then the star players aren't doing it either, they're not hitting mix. Either. Yeah, so they carry your team. Yeah. I think Devers was really the only one that was doing semi-okay too. He was still hitting for power. He's still up there, but you gotta figure that out, because they're gonna kill you in New York. Yeah. With the open capacity and everything like that. If this rivalry, hopefully we can pick it back up. It's baseball right now in this era, so I doubt it. But whatever. It's just these batters, they need to hit. That's what carries this team. I said it before. They're not going to win games 2-1, 1-0. The only games I can really remember them doing that are against the Mets. Yeah. And the Mets, although they're in first place in their division this year, right now they blow. So it's okay, you won 1-0, 2-1 against the Mets. You're going to lose if you don't score more than 4 runs. I think I said a crazy stat. I don't know what the update is now, but the discrepancy between when they score 4 more runs or they score less than 4 runs and the wins losses is outrageous. It's really bad.
Mets?
No, just the Red Sox this season.
Who's the best team in baseball right now?
Best team, record-wise?
Yeah.
Let me see here. I think it's they're all pretty much tied.
Yeah, it's still kind of.
Well, the Rays are number 1. Everyone else is pretty much like around 33, 34 wins. The Rays are up ahead of everyone at 36. So they're 36. Red Sox are 33. White Sox 33. Athletics are 33. And that's the Cubs are surprisingly 32 and 23. I didn't realize they were going to be that good this year. They've been kind of falling off. And the Giants are the surprise this year, 34 and 21. They've been pretty bad lately. So that's it with the Red Sox. I just wanted to kind of rant a little bit. I mean, that's not really a rant, but whatever. It's just
you came in hot.
Yeah, I came in hot. I can't. I love the Red Sox. You know, I can't just.
You're a baseball
completely
guy
go
at
at them.
heart.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long season. If this was, I don't know, September, like beginning of September, I'd be freaking out. Like that's you have to press the red button at that point. It's a long. They're not even halfway through.
Yeah.
They're not even halfway.
They're doing the full ones.
Yeah.
Full slate, right?
Yep. So.
Nice.
When the All-Star break comes and the trade deadline comes around,
we'll see how they're doing.
Yeah, they're still going to be in the midst of like a really tough schedule. It's supposed to go until like mid-August. Yeah. And then it lightens up a little bit for teams that they can kind of beat up on more consistently. So
that's good.
That's good until you make the playoffs and then you can't beat the good teams. So they really got to show something. They can't lose every game, but I want them to at least be in it. So they can't look like they did this past week. So all right. Bruins. We're going to go to the NBA at some point. I know that's what you're mainly here for. Celtics and the NBA, because there's a lot. That's pretty much the most to talk about right now.
Bruins is nothing really too bad to talk about.
Yeah.
Just a rough loss.
Patriots, I already said what I had to say with like the Julio rumors and all of that, so whatever. Nothing new there. But the Bruins, tough loss the other night. They played tonight. Yeah. I mean, it was a great game. Yeah. It's a great hockey game. You know, whoever won that game was going to be going crazy. Yeah. Obviously, the Islanders needed it more than the Bruins. You can't go back home down 0-2. I guess you could.
Would have been nice to be up 2-0, though.
Right. It always is. But, I mean, this is going to be a little tougher than Washington, which I didn't think I was going to say, because this team played you really well this year, played the Bruins really well this year for the most part, because when they had Varlamov in the net. So they made the goalie change. They had their young goalie and Sorokin in there in the first game, and we saw how that ended, obviously, and they immediately took him out, which I didn't know if that was going to happen or not. I was sitting there talking to a couple of my friends. I'm like, do you think it's going to be Varlamov tonight? It was like the day of the game, and one of them said, I don't know. I think it's going to be Sorokin. I haven't heard anything. And then next thing you know, Varlamov's in the net. So like they made that change real quick, and it paid off for them for at least one game. And he gave up that one quick goal to Coyle, which was nasty, and everyone was like, "Oh boy, here we go!" Like, because he had been doing that.
Fast one too. Like that was like right off the rip.
Right. So that's why they kind of pulled him in the last series against Pittsburgh. He was like kind of doing that. He was like kind of injured maybe, and he'd give up goals and he'd lose his confidence. And they're like, "Oh boy, here we go!" Yeah. Like, is it happen again? And he did better than expected. Obviously, they still probably should have won that game. That turnover by Lazan. Oh my god. The thing with this team is they're so scared of just shooting it, the defenseman, the point. From like they just rip it. Just rip it. I know we don't have Chara anymore hitting like 100-mile-per-hour pucks back there, but someone's got to rip it at some point. The only one I've ever seen it really just go for it is McAvoy, which is like, that's not okay. Because in this instance, he probably wouldn't have been able to shoot. Just looking at the replay over and over again, the real play there was to dump it on his left against the boards and try to wrap it around or just pass it to someone. Instead, he tried going point to point to the other D-man, and the guy just picked it off. It's like a point guard, you know, when someone puts it and you just punch it out and you run down court and you have an easy layup. That's pretty much what it was for that game-winning goal. That the dump in was the better move. Even shooting it, really just shooting it, because what worst case is, it deflects off someone and they get a breakaway, but that looks a lot better. At least you attempted to shoot, like, instead of just turtling and trying to pass it across, you know? Like, and then if you ricochet it off of someone on their team, maybe they get hurt. Like, sick, awesome. You just got nailed by a puck point blank.
So, what do you think's gonna happen tonight?
So I mean, Islanders got momentum now because that's a huge, like I said, a huge win.
They stole one at home or from
road. I think it's gonna look pretty similar. It's going to look really similar.
It's going to be a good series, I think.
I feel like Tuukka's going to give up an early goal. And from what I've heard, he might be playing injured.
Oh,
It looks like he might have a little tweak. So
he'll suck it up.
yeah, I mean, I feel like they can win tonight, but I can just smell an early goal by Tuukka. I can just smell it. As good as he's been after I knocked him in the first game of Washington, I can just.
I mean, all we really need is one game in these next two.
Yeah, if you can come back 2-2,
That'll be
you can't
most
come down
ideal.
3-1.
No,
You can't
of
come
course
back
not.
down 3-1. Like you can come back, but you
2-2,
can't just don't come back.
We'll still
home.
be in good shape 2-2.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I'll take that from them. It's just that turnover, man.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, they didn't even need to be in that situation. That's the problem because they can't win a face-off. I started like recording this in my head from the third period on at some point, like early in the third, mid-third. They couldn't win a face-off. I'm sitting there and I'm screaming at the
Did
TV.
you look up the actual number?
No, I didn't look up the actual number. I should, but I mean, they. Hold on, I'll look it up. Their face-off discrepancy, at least in that third period in overtime, they couldn't win a single face-off. It seemed like, especially Bergeron of all people. I'm sitting there. I think I saw Krejci win one, and he was the only one. Even on power plays, even when they needed it in the, they get an icing and they have it in their own zone, the face-off in front of Tuukka, they couldn't win to dump it away. Yeah, go ahead. Did you look it up?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The discrepancy is not that as great as you thought. It's
Go ahead.
31-30.
31-30, but that means they were doing great in the first and the second, and they couldn't do anything. I know for a fact the third was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
The third and overtime
They didn't break it down by period.
Yeah, no, the third and overtime were horrible. I mean, that's why they lost. They were lucky to continue that in overtime. That was a great power play goal by Marchand, and that was only the second power play they were on in the entire game, which was awful. But they couldn't win a faceoff. They couldn't win a faceoff in the Islander zone to get something going on offense, and they couldn't win in their own to get it out of their zone. They really couldn't. And the second period was the worst I've seen them play in the playoffs. The worst period in the entire playoffs so far. How many games has it been? This was the seventh game. Seventh game. Game 2 was the seventh game they played in the playoffs. That was the worst period so far. Yeah. Worst. So
only go up from there.
Yeah, you can, but it's like, how do you go from scoring that quick goal to losing that game? It just blows my mind. Like there was just too many mistakes that stood out more for the Bruins than the Islanders. Mm-hmm. It would be nice to get some more power plays like the Islanders did. So that'll help. But that perfection line, man, they were scoring a couple of goals here and there, but I need them. They were invisible in overtime, which was horrible. I know Marchand tied it up, and that was great, and he was hyped, but you got to show up in overtime. You got to win faceoffs. You got to get shots on the net. You got to win the game. You are probably the best line in hockey, so it's like, that was frustrating.
We'll see what happens tonight.
Yeah, and it's hockey, so anything can happen. It looks like the winner of this is going to play Tampa because Tampa is.
They just blow out Montreal.
Well, no, they're playing Carolina. It's really mixed up. I know, like it's easy to get confused. Yeah,
I thought there's 4 teams left in the East.
there are. It's Bruins, Islanders, and Carolina.
Montreal just beat Toronto.
Yeah,
right?
so here's the thing. Canada is in the West this year, no
Oh,
matter
shit.
what. That's just the way they set it up.
Okay. Yeah.
They did it by division. They did a Canadian division. I think partly it's because
I know Winnipeg and
right. It's Winnipeg and Montreal, and then the winner of that plays the winner of Vegas and Colorado in the
Colorado
Western
just
Conference
won
Finals. Yeah,
that game,
Colorado killed them in game 1. So, and then the winner of the Bruins Islanders plays
that makes
Tampa or Carolina.
which is mostly likely Tampa.
It's going to be Tampa because they're
always
they're
Tampa,
up they're
I
up
feel
2-0
like. I feel
already.
like they're always just there.
Yeah,
Tampa.
they're like the Warriors right now, pretty much of the NHL. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. I can smell, I can taste an early goal given up by Tuukka in this one, but I can also see a win.
It's not about how you
still.
start. It's about how you finish.
Exactly. So
Be more optimistic about it. We'll see.
no, I don't think they're going to lose this game. I think they're going to come out with a fire lit under their asses. They should. They have to.
That was a tough loss.
They have to. I mean, it either goes one of two ways. You get demoralized by a loss like that, and now you're on the road, so it's like, oh shit. But
It's
yeah,
gonna be loud.
or you turn it around.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. It's what you got to do. So go Bruins.
Yep.
I'll be watching the crucial parts of this game for sure. I'll be paying attention to that third and hopefully not another
Get your
overtime
notebook
again.
ready.
Yeah, just I'll have my mental notes up there with these. I'm gonna be these face-offs, man. If that wasn't number one, and Lausanne, I don't even know if he's gonna be on the ice. Like that wasn't the only mistake he made. That was just like the biggest mistake he made. So I know he's young and like these defensemen aren't like what they used to be on the Bruins, but whatever. Moving on.
All right.
Celtics.
Let's get to the thick of it.
Celtics and NBA. I know that's what you're here for. All right. So there's a few things. I talked about this last time, the whole Kyrie thing, just to start off real quick.
We should start with the series or the...
Just his comments.
Danny Ainge
His
news.
comments. We'll get to the Danny Ainge and the Brats because I got a few. That's like new, you know.
Yeah.
Let's save the new thing for a second. So the Kyrie stuff, I just wanted to hear like someone else because I've been kind of just ranting about it on my own. So he says the racist comments, like whatever. No, he doesn't say racist comments, but he mentions like racism.
He said there was
before.
undertone of racial
Right.
undertones,
Hopefully
yeah.
they keep it strictly to basketball. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, here we go.
Of course.
So I said this on my last video at home. I was like, he didn't have to say that, obviously, and it's really annoying that he did, obviously. And it's clear what he made it about. He knows what the deal is here. No one hates Kyrie. He's not wrong. I said it last time. He's not wrong. Boston is racist. It's one of the oldest cities, states, Massachusetts states in the country. It's deeply driven here. That's no excuse.
Yeah.
But it's not surprising to me that
of
it's
course.
underlying like that. But by him doing that, he just made it a whole frenzy, and that's exactly what he wanted
to do, dude.
And they fed the sports media ate
He knew
it
what he was
up,
doing.
ate it up.
He knows everyone's going to boo him because of how he left in that whole situation.
Right.
Everyone knows that.
Right.
He obviously brought up that it's true. It's a true statement. Like there clearly is. And he's a very, like, I respect his like social advocacy. Like I respect all of that. And I like how he uses that platform that he does that. But right now it's unnecessary. Like,
Well,
I think Jaylen Brown, did you hear what Jaylen Brown said? He
Right,
said it
yeah,
best. That's
yeah.
the perfect way to say
Yeah.
it. There are very much like a lot of like racist stuff that happens in the city, in a lot of cities in the U.S. It's a big problem. But to use that as like a prompt for a playoff series, it's just an awful timing for that. And he knew what he was doing.
Right.
It's unnecessary.
I mean, the way I look at it, and I haven't talked to any African American or any black people about this yet, but like, it kind of just sounded like he tried making the whole thing of racism against them about himself. And it's
Just
like, I
in
don't think
general,
that's what anyone wants to do. You can't do that. You made it about himself.
He wants to justify the booze for another reason. Like, he thinks,
that's got to be one of the biggest like in-house no-nos for like any race ever. Like making the racism against you about you, like against your people about you singularly. Like that
was just really
that's
poor,
not a good
it was
look.
in poor taste.
Yeah,
I mean,
it really was.
But what can you say? Like game 3, there was a great game 3. Our crowd came out strong. He got booed.
Yeah, I mean he turtled in that game.
He had an awful game.
Yeah,
and that was the one game we had that we assumed it would be nice to get one win. No one thought we were gonna win the series, but
yeah, it was gentleman's sweep.
just getting that one win, kind of like
I was saying we were gonna get swept. Celtics were gonna get swept, but it took Tatum to drop 50 and Smart to have like his second best
Tristan
playoff
Thompson
game ever.
too had like 19 and 13.
Yeah, he had like 10 offensive rebounds.
But I mean, after that, you could tell we phoned it in because Kemba and Time Lord like sat out again. They're just like rest up, like it's over.
Yeah.
Like we got our game. It's not a complete embarrassment.
Thank you. I almost forgot one other thing. So obviously, just to finish off with the Kyrie thing, like obviously he stomped on the thing.
Yeah.
He stomped on Lucky on the center, and
Which is like everyone's chanting like "F you, Kyrie." Like I was in response to that, but like it's so unnecessary.
it's so childish, man.
Like
it's so childish.
it wasn't like it was literally a blatant like.
Yeah,
creased his
of
foot
course.
on
He
the
he did
face.
like the foot drag like after a dog poops and like kicks the grass.
Did
Like
you see
classic.
the whole like Twitter stuff with KG and Big Baby and KD and they
Big
just,
Baby's on drugs on a plane somewhere again, pissed, like tweeting.
He's like, don't think he's like, I'll take it to the streets. Like, it's
Oh yeah,
got a mad
I mean,
person
if he did that in the '80s, he's getting knocked out.
KG
so,
was ready.
Yeah, so that's and again, it doesn't justify the water bottle getting thrown at him.
No, that was stupid in itself. Yeah,
but
that
but
fan's an idiot.
then he comes on the press conference and
Again,
he talks about
he's racist
racism
again.
again. And like, no, it's because you're a dickhead. It's because you're a
Dude.
jerk.
that guy's a.
It's because you're a dink. That's why. It's not because no one hates you. There's probably some people where it's like, oh, you black, I hate him. Like in Boston, like there's people like that everywhere. people like that everywhere, and some of them probably do go to the game.
I hate that.
And maybe
though. Like
they were
some
saying
dumb
that.
21-year-old kid. Just,
Right,
like,
but he didn't
represents
do
the
it because he
entire fan
right,
base.
and I get it. He should be banned and all
Yeah.
this and blah,
Oh, no,
blah.
he didn't do it
But he didn't do it
right?
because of race. He didn't do it because of Kyrie. Kyrie's not a jerk because he's black.
He
he's
brought
a
it
jerk
up
because
again.
he's
It's so
Kyrie.
unnecessary.
That's what it is. He doesn't understand that.
I feel like he doesn't think like the mainstream media understands why the Boston fans hate him, so he's trying to like back it up with all this other
the smart
stuff.
people do. The smart people do.
course.
But then you go on Instagram and they're like, why they don't deserve? They don't. They can't hate him. Look what they did to Isaiah. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I've said this before, and I'm like, this is what I mean. I've said this before. I sit there and I'm like, okay, everyone still complains about Isaiah Thomas and how they did him dirty, and it's like, what did you want them to do? What did you want them to, you know what he turned out to be with his hip, and his career isn't over necessarily, but he's not ever going to
do
be
anything wrong to Kyrie. Like there wasn't really anything
It's just
wrong.
he's with IT. It's just like he's not ever going to be the player that he was. And if they did resign back up the Brinks trucks like he wanted, and they signed him to the deal that he wanted.
Are you talking about like the original Kyrie trade?
No, yeah.
I-
Because all I ever see online is when Boston fans complain online, like, oh, when someone's saying like, why are they treating him like
Should've
this?
done
And
that. I
someone,
do that trade 10 times out of 10. We got rid of Jay Crowder and Isaiah. For
I might have not done that trade, but I would have traded
Isaiah had
IT
a-
still.
Isaiah's
You could
not
have
in
had
the
Colin
league right
Sexton.
now,
You could have had
dude.
Colin Sexton right now.
So what, dude? We had Kyrie. We
It's the
put
pick.
ourselves
It's
in
the
the
pick.
best position to win.
Yeah,
at the
he
time.
kind of tore down everything.
Before the Hayward injury, we had that squad was. Come on.
I don't know. You kind of traded for a virus.
Like, that's going to open up another bag of worms. But whatever. We didn't know. Like, it is what it
Yeah,
is.
no,
Still
you won't.
Kyrie.
You won't know. I mean, I'm still doing that trade over keeping
Kyrie's
Isaiah.
a top 10 player in the league. You
Yeah.
do that trade every time, bro.
Yeah. So there's no doing Isaiah Thomas dirty. If they signed him to the deal that he wanted, people would still be laughing at the Celtics for you paid.
You can't play the what if game.
Yeah,
He was hurt. He had a bad
you
hit,
paid
bro.
$30 million to a guy that was toast. Like that. Then you
Ainge
get
made
that
the right
narrative.
move.
Yeah, he did make the right move there.
It just sucks how it worked out.
Yeah.
I think that Hayward injury was just like a domino effect.
Yeah.
Like every little thing went wrong.
Kyrie's not a jerk because he's black. He's not. He's a jerk because he's Kyrie. That's just the way he is. He just happens to be black. That's all it is. He could have been Johnny Damon, like I mentioned before. He got it worse. Johnny Damon. He should go look up, like I said in the last video, go look up on YouTube Johnny Damon's first return to Fenway when he joined the Yankees in
Yeah, he got
05.
booed.
They were throwing stuff at him, I'm pretty sure. Like, they were killing the guy. I
worst
mean,
he
that
got
was
was
the
like
heat of the rivalry
yeah, of
still,
course.
but it's
That's-
like, Jesus, man. Like,
He knew he was like,
Yeah.
dude, he was just baiting the fans. just to have
Yeah,
an
of
excuse.
course. He was baiting everything.
Because last year or 2 years, like he didn't show up. He was hurt during the game. And
Yeah.
then COVID hit and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
And the sports media took it hit hook, line, and sinker. They couldn't help themselves.
And it's like, dude, Kyrie's not bad. Like his teammates clearly like him. Like Tatum, Brown, Smart. They all are
That's
friends
just the
with
way
him.
the NBA is.
Yeah,
now.
it is,
If
but
he
it's
did
like-
that back then,
Yeah,
they'd
no,
rock
of
him.
course,
He'd get rocked.
of course. But like I said, I appreciate how Jalen said what he said.
Yeah, of course. Jalen's an intellectual individual. Like he really knows what he's talking about. So I respect him a lot for that. Off the court, he's one of the best people in the NBA. Really. So moving on. Getting to what I said you mentioned. So actually, yeah, let's get to the future. So what's up? Do you want to go NBA playoffs or do you want to go Celtics first? What do you want to do?
Stick to Celtics. Just
Okay,
like, what do you
let's
mean?
stick
Like outlook on the season or just like the future next year?
I don't need
like,
I don't need an outlook on the season. I did a video and it says I'm done with the Celtics, and that's my outlook. You can talk about it if you want, but it's like we kind of did that throughout the year.
We knew this team was a first round exit, and I think that Jalen injury was just icing on the cake.
Yeah, if it wasn't over before, it's over.
Exactly. It was with Jalen. We were a fun team that can keep up. But then Jalen got hurt, and you're like,
Yeah, they might have won one more game.
and we
maybe.
did. We did what happened. Like we
Yeah.
played the Nets, and
Yeah,
we
so
got our.
yeah, they got it.
handed
They got
to
it
us,
handed to
yeah.
them. So now there's the breaking news happened yesterday of
That was out of nowhere, man.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it was in the works, but they kept it really. They
Yeah.
kept under wraps for
I guess-
most of the season.
Yeah, so obviously
Danny's gone, and Brad is the head of basketball operations
they
taking
had it-
over.
They had it. It was preemptive since the trade deadline in March. That's
Right.
what I read.
I think personally, now knowing this, if when those rumors came out about Indiana with Brad, I don't know if you remember that.
I was like that was legit, and
I think it was legit, and this was either already in the works or they figured this out. And if it wasn't going to be figured out, Danny was going to stay, or
Yeah.
if they decided they wanted to do a complete reboot, he was going to go to Indiana.
well, it makes sense
Brad.
now because if Danny stepped down back in March, that means they had Brad lined up and ready to go at
Yeah.
that time. So that's why he probably did turn down the Indiana offer.
Right. So let's talk about Danny Ainge a little bit. Let's talk about this guy's legacy. So what would you give him a grade? What grade would you give him for what did he start? Like early, it was like 2001,
Just as a whole.
2002 till now, like 20 years almost of of being the Celtics GM / president of operations.
I couldn't give him lower than B-. I'm leaning towards like a B-ish, B+.
That's where I am. I was going to say B-.
He doesn't deserve anything lower than a B-
Yeah.
because he led us to a championship. He did have
So
a lot of
what would it
impact.
be if that championship never
I
happened?
mean, yeah, then that's a different story. Because it's like, but like he made a lot of ballsy trade, like the KG and Ray Allen stuff. That was unheard of at the time.
Yeah.
That was like unprecedented. And then the whole Nets trade that got us Jalen and Tatum.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
the Tatum trade with the Sixers too.
Exactly. So like there's a lot of good, there's also a lot of bad.
Right.
So there's a
lot of sitting on his hands.
Yeah, a lot of bad draft picks, a lot of not trading, a lot of just like hoping on the team to win.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not the word.
One championship in 20 years, pretty much, is that's rough. I mean, it clearly took him a little bit.
I don't
to get
discredit
it
him, bro.
started.
If you look at it, though,
no, I mean, he's one of the best in his generation.
We as Celtics fans have very high expectations of the
Right.
team. Kind of more than we should. But like if you put it in perspective, we've only missed the playoffs like one time in the last 15, like since the 07 season, we've missed the playoffs one time, and that was that year with like in between the trade.
Rebuild. Yeah, the worst season.
But then the year
Celtics,
after that, he made the move to get Isaiah Thomas at the deadline, traded Rondo for Jay Crowder. So I mean, we made that 8th seed, we snuck in, and ever since then we progressively stepped up. Like I'm not that I'm being an optimist, but we did make the Eastern Conference Finals last year, 3 out of 4 years. We did underperform, yes, but I wouldn't put the blame on him. He did it best he could.
It's just I know there was like on-court injuries that didn't help this either,
course.
so it's not 100%
Even
his
back
fault,
with like
but
the Big Three era, KG getting hurt.
It's not
Park
that
getting hurt.
it's not only that they only won one championship with him as the GM, but like they only made 2.
Yeah, I
so
mean,
it's like it's tough, and it clearly took him a little bit, as you mentioned.
course.
As you mentioned before, the Big Three was built. Like, what were those
we sucked.
teams? Like, obviously they made the playoffs a little bit here and there, but then like a couple years before the Big Three was made, like that was horrible.
Yeah.
So like it took him a little bit. So what I think when I see that is it going to take Brad a little bit now because they're very similar into like the scenarios.
I think Brad's a great basketball mind.
Right.
Very good.
But here's
sense
the
of what
thing:
he's
he's
doing.
never done this before. Realistically, he recruited.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not the same in college. And Danny was a coach before he was a GM, and he transitioned into a GM, and like I said, it just took him a little bit. So are we gonna like sit here for another like 3-4 more years?
I don't
and,
think Brad would have taken the job if he didn't feel confident in himself.
Yeah,
about it.
it's just is he gonna? He's attached. So he's coached some of these players now.
Of course.
These players are on the roster.
Yeah, now
is
he
he
has
gonna
to trade them
do what
and
it
all that
takes to?
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's safe to say the only people that are untouchable should be Tatum, Jalen, and I think Time Lord Williams. You would trade him if it was. I mean, I would trade him for sure if it was.
I'd
the
trade
right
him because
trade.
of the injuries, the injury history.
Yeah.
Just he can't stay healthy.
True.
I love him
All right,
when
so
he's
then
on the court.
We have our
great.
2 core players, and then
Yeah.
the rest are expendable. But
I don't think Jalen is 100% untouchable either. So, and when I say that, I mean for a top 10 player in the league. That's the only scenario I trade him in a deal for.
Dude,
And
Jalen, I remember I was on it because Jalen was like a make it or break it year for Jalen. He stepped
no,
up into
he
a
did great, and this
superstar.
was his breakout year
Breakout
for
year.
the most part when he was healthy.
Tatum
but,
and Jalen are like right there.
yeah, no,
like,
I like Jalen. Obviously, I like him on and off the court. But like I said, and this probably isn't going to happen. If a top 10 player is presented to you, relatively young, like
so
late 20s,
do you have anyone in mind?
do you trade him for Bradley Beal? I mean, he's not a top 10 player.
Bradley Beal's
but like,
isn't he a free agent?
no, he just signed like a bigger deal.
Okay, yeah, the trade talks. No.
That's been the talk all year is Bradley Beal. Yeah, like he's the main player every time.
What's he gonna do that Jalen, like that Tatum can't do? Like Tatum can drop 52. Like I mean, they're 2 different players, but I mean,
Beal's obviously a better scorer than
I
Jalen.
feel like that's not the problem that needs to be addressed.
No,
though.
it's no.
We
I
need
mean,
a better point.
well, here's the thing. Here's my.
We need a
main
big
thing.
man. We need a scoring
They
big
need,
man.
yeah. You don't need a point guard that's going to score. You need a point guard that can stay
facilitator.
healthy and not like a Rondo,
Tatum
but like
and Jalen
something.
can do the scoring,
Right,
Like
yeah.
Alonzo.
But
or something.
here's the problem. Here's where the problem lies, and it happened too many times this year. When one of them went off, the other one disappeared during the game.
There was a handful of games where they both did really well.
Right, but mostly when Tatum's dropping 40, Jalen shooting 6 of
But
22.
I feel like that's in credit to both of them that they can let the other one just do their thing.
But that's the problem. They'd still lose the game because the other one wasn't shooting well. He was still shooting.
Yeah.
He wasn't letting the other one have it. He was still
But
shooting.
at the same time, they're very similar positions. So that we need better shooting guard, point guard, center. Like we need all around better play. Like this team, we knew all year. This team, the second we brought we basically ran it back from last year, right?
Yeah.
And like last year, we all were disappointed.
Yeah.
And so the second we kind of ran it back, we're like, what's going to happen? What did we expect? And what we expected actually happened. We got bounced in the first round.
I just think if you can, and again, it's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying this out of like what I would take, what it would take for me to get rid of Jalen. If you can send him for a guy that can consistently score like 30, when Tatum scores 30, you can get like 60 plus out of both of them, just them, then you have to do that.
Well,
but if not, then you don't trade him.
Listen, like, Ainge did piss me off this year. Don't get me wrong. Like, he traded Tice for nothing. We didn't.
He needed
to.
to.
But did he? Like, what would he got? Cornette, whatever. Fournier.
Well, here's the deal behind. Well, I'll continue.
You know, with Fournier, he's asking for like $20 million or something. I don't even know what we're gonna pay him. Like, come on. So that might just be gone. It's like
it's 2 second-round picks, so who cares though?
What are we gonna work with next year for trades?
Right.
What's Brad gonna work with? Who's gonna want Kemba first of all?
Well, okay. So moving on to that, if
I like Kemba. I like Kemba a lot. I've always liked him.
I know people are against me when I say this. If Kemba shouldn't have been gone before, he needs to go now.
Yeah.
Not only does he not show up on the court in the game that they win, they didn't need him. They didn't need him in the game that they won.
I don't think not that he needs to go, but
no, he needs to go. I'm sorry. No. Let me finish. Let me finish this. Let me break it down for you. He didn't show up on the court. He got 8 rebounds. Awesome. He got the game-sealing rebound. Fantastic. He shot, 2 of 13, 2 of 14, something like that? Horrible. He didn't show up on the court when it called for him in that game. They still won when he didn't show up on the court. Then he doesn't actually show up on the court the next game, and they get spanked.
Yeah.
I don't think he makes the difference, but he wasn't reliable. Back-to-back games, he didn't show up metaphorically, and then he literally didn't show up.
Injury he got in the bubble, it just lingered and lingered.
It's done. Kemba's got to go.
We have the worst luck with injuries, man.
I'm doing almost anything I can to get rid of that contract.
Who's going to want him? For what? I wouldn't get rid
I
of him for
I am hitting up OKC and being like, listen, we won't give you our first this year, but if you'll take a future first in Kemba and just send us Horford back on his 1-year deal, I'm doing that in a heartbeat because
you point guard, bro.
Horford's a point forward. I'll take him. What do you mean? Jalen 2, Tatum 3, Horford 4 or 5, whatever. Then you can figure out the point. You can put Smart at point guard if you really want to keep Smart that bad. He was doing that. He was doing that most of the year because Kemba's out. That's what Smart was doing, playing point guard. Pritchard's only going to get a little bit better. Like I don't know what his ceiling is.
I mean,
it's just
and foremost, it's like I feel like besides the roster management, we have to find a coach too. So that lies into
the getting rid of Kemba might come before a coach for me. Honestly, you don't bring the coach in and get his hopes up. I'm like, I have Kemba Walker. If his hopes are even up in having Kemba Walker anymore.
It sounds like you really hate Kemba.
I don't hate Kemba. I hate how he smiles when we're losing by 40 points.
Yeah, those memes are funny. Those
that kills me, man. He's smiling all the time. Guy gets blocked, the ball hit him in the face
Celtics
of a
lose
black.
by 30, Kemba. It's like
he's smiling.
Smile.
I'm just like, no, like that kills me.
He's a good morale.
He seems like a good guy.
He's a good teammate,
but he's undersized. He can't play defense, and now he's not worth that money whatsoever. It might be worse than Hayward at this point.
He's not Kyrie, but that was.
And he doesn't have to. He didn't have to be Kyrie.
He's better than Kyrie in terms of being a teammate, but in terms of being a closer, Kyrie was better. I don't know. This team's weird, man.
He didn't have to be Kyrie.
I'm still
all
curious.
He had to be was what he was on the Hornets.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still curious what this perfect, what's our window, you think?
I don't know if there is a window right now.
What's our perfect mix of a roster, of starting 5 that's going to
You need to get a third star in there.
For sure, but how?
So I was saying this when I was talking to someone on the phone about this yesterday, I think, when the news came out.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be an off season. It's going to be it's one of the most important and it's going to be really strange off season for the Celtics in recent memory.
I mean, yeah, we have so many questions.
Right. So but unfortunately what I think is going to happen just because of just the way the market is and everything that's going on, it's going to take a little bit for them to figure out where to go this offseason. So they're going to have to wait. I think it's going to be a wait and see kind of approach.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have cap, so.
Well, I look at the free agents. Kawhi's a free agent. He's probably going to opt out. I don't think he's necessarily
get bounced.
Well, I don't necessarily think he even leaves the Clippers if they do get bounced because he loves LA.
Yeah, true.
So, but I think he opts out for a new deal. But if he does opt out and he leaves, now that's a team where you can approach them and say, listen, your window's definitely closed because Paul George is not going to be your best player.
So what do you want from them?
You might be the 8th seed. If you can convince them in a deal, you're obviously going to give up a little bit more. But if you can send them Kemba, maybe a couple picks, and you can bring Paul George back.
Clippers
And
won't
you-
do that, bro.
Huh?
We're not gonna get Paul George for Kemba.
In a deal for him? Why not? Paul George's contract is a lot longer. If the Clippers are the Clippers, like they know who they are in the history of the NBA. Like if they can take Kemba on and get a couple of picks, I'd give him this year's pick.
What has
Plus
Kemba done recently to impress anyone?
Right, but there's like
He did have a good end of the
there's
season,
a rebuilding aspect
yeah.
to it. Teams do this all the time. Like look at what the Thunder do all the time. Like they've been doing recently.
True, but I don't think Paul George is that. Like we're not going to get that.
Probably not, but I'm saying like that's a
Yeah.
scenario that I'm thinking of.
I mean,
like,
Brad could charm him. Brad can charm him.
maybe, yeah. I mean, those first two were like realistic, the most realistic to me. Like you know, Horford is up there. You know, he liked it here. We liked him here.
Yeah.
And he's
he
on a
ran with the money.
And he's on a 1-year deal. He's on a team that will take a bigger contract. You just got to entice them. You got to give them.
I
a
would love
little
Horford
bit.
back.
Yeah.
We'll see. Smart might be gone. Who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? It's been
Smart's
very
probably
interesting
gone.
offseason.
I'm trying to think of other like scenarios where teams have to have the draft and like see if their players leave or if they make moves first. I can't really think of any right now off the top of my head. I said the Thunder. I said the Clippers. Maybe the Spurs in some way. Maybe not Kemba necessarily to that team, but you can maybe get someone from them if DeMar leaves.
Yeah.
Because now what are they going to do? They got some good young players, but what are you going to do?
I don't think we're gonna keep. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think the coach is the main aspect that we're gonna have to fill.
Yeah.
And with the coach and Brad, they'll figure out the roster moves and stuff.
I
That's
think-
why I think the coach is gonna come first.
I think if you're gonna send Kemba away, it's gonna have to be like examples I just gave to a team where it's like, okay, we need like our guy needs to change his scenery and your guy needs to change his scenery. Like, give us a little bit more, obviously, because our guy that needs it is definitely better than your guy.
I think Kemba and Smart kind of fall into that same category where they're both expendable, but we don't know what we can get from them.
I think Smart's still viewed around the league as like the right piece on a championship
Yeah.
team. Like he is on
Third
the
or
right
fourth
team.
option like he is with us.
Not, I
Not
don't know.
fourth, like fourth. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
sixth
not
man,
scoring
sixth
option,
man,
but
sixth man, defensive,
piece, yeah.
defensive guard, sixth man. He can hit the three like that. That's what he is really. So if you can get something valuable from him, I don't know. Maybe they try to trade up with some of these guys. Maybe you try packaging their first round pick, maybe other picks and some young players, and like because I've said it a million times. They were one pick away from Tyler Hero last year, and then this past draft they were one pick away from Tyrese Halliburton, and it's like
coulda, woulda, shoulda. But what can you do?
You got to get up there, man.
There's a lot of misses we've had. Back to the whole Ainge legacy, it's like a lot of misses, a lot of bad draft picks.
Like what does this team look like right now if you have Hero and Halliburton off the bench?
Completely different. Well, Hero kind of sucked. Like the Heat kind of
he had a sophomore slump,
a
but
bubble team.
But when I say that, it's like, okay, not only do you have Hero in that first year, if you were able to draft him, you take him off the Heat, and that was a huge that was a huge thing against the Celtics.
But we did. There was no scenario where we
right,
got
of
him.
course. So I don't know.
Who do you think is going to be the coach, or have you looked at the candidates?
I love Chauncey Billups.
Yeah, they have
I love
him,
Chauncey
Jason
Billups.
Kidd.
I don't know if I like
really
Jason
like
Kidd.
Kidd.
He hasn't done well as a coach so far. I mean,
saying that we might do something internally.
I don't want internal.
Even like I obviously wanted like KG or piece. They already said they're not going to do it.
They're not going to do it. Someone
Sam
said
Cassell, maybe.
Someone said Rondo if he like retires,
Yeah.
but he's not going to retire right now. And I
wouldn't mind Sam Cassell.
I like Sam Cassell. I think I'd like Chauncey a little bit more.
I feel like that's something the Celtics would do. The Spurs one, the Becky Hammond or the assistant,
They could.
just to be the first team.
I don't know if they're ready for that yet. I don't know if the NBA.
She's a very good mind.
She's
too.
good. She's
a
good.
really
I just don't know if
coach.
the NBA is just progressive enough for that.
If
yet,
there
you
was
know
a
what I'm
team, it
saying?
would be the Celtics.
Yeah, I could
Just
see
to
that.
be like
I could see that.
progressive.
I wouldn't mind it if she's good enough. I mean, I know the Spurs haven't exactly been great lately, but I don't know. I personally, my favorite out of all the names I saw was Chauncey. Yeah. And he's been wanting a front office or a coaching job for a while
he had a
now.
front office, I think. I think he was with Denver in some capacity.
Was he? Oh, okay.
I'm not sure,
I know
though.
he wanted to go to like the Cavs when LeBron was still there towards the end,
I
and
don't know,
like
it'd
they
be
just didn't
interesting.
bring him in. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him, but anyways, we've said it
It's
all
gonna be
year.
a weird offseason. It's gonna be.
They've got a lot to figure out.
They didn't do anything that surprised us this year. We had a prediction that they were gonna be a.
Yeah, we'll find out if Brad is more of a cutthroat GM than he is as a head
We'll
coach because
see.
he's really
I
going.
hope he does make
he's
some
gonna
ballsy moves.
he's gonna need to be.
Of course.
If he's anything like he is as a coach, as a GM, as he was as a coach, he's not gonna last like more than 2 years.
That's what I said. This will be this will be a see what happens year.
Yeah, I think they give him 2 years.
You can always go back to coaching. Yeah.
I think they give him 2 years.
Clearly, I think he kind of lost the locker room.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
he's
why
young
he
too,
kinda
so he's
moved
got a lot
on.
of time. But
There was a lot of questions with his coaching this year. I think that's part of the reason too why he just
Yeah.
maybe coaching's not like he's a really good coach, but maybe
he's a
better,
good guy. It's just
Maybe he's a better executive. So we'll
maybe,
see.
yeah. I mean, it's the players too.
Yeah.
It's all about the players. Like you can say as much as you want about the coach. Like there's very few coaches, especially in the NBA. It's very rarely about the coach. Like you could say Popovich, yeah, awesome. Like look what he did in his as a coach, but like he also had Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
So it's like Phil Jackson, like these guys, like
Eric
they had
Spoelstra had the big 3.
right, yeah. So like they're good coaches, but it's really about the players at the
Yeah,
end of
no,
the day.
for sure.
So you got to get those players.
So
So you want to talk about the NBA?
I mean,
as a
yeah, I
whole?
mean, they were still in the middle of the first round, but I mean,
yeah. So
it's gonna be interesting.
The East is set with their first
Milwaukee
round.
Nets are going to be a great series.
Yeah, I kind of wish that wasn't the second round.
Yeah,
that kind of
I
sucks
think
to
Milwaukee
see.
can beat them, bro. I think I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah,
take
yeah.
the Bucks.
Oh yeah. I mean, so I asked. I think I had Shantan Shahai last time I was in here. Who would you like to see now knowing who's out and who's still in? Who would you like to see?
From the East?
Both. So like what finals would be fun for you? Not what you think it's going to be. Because if you ask me that who I think it's going to be, I'll still say Lakers Nets.
I mean, Lakers could lose tonight.
Yeah, they could, and they could be out. But that's what I said last time. I don't know.
So I mean,
What would you think would be fun and like a nice change
Fun-wise?
to see?
well, in terms of basketball, like
Yeah,
fun
like-
is the Nets watching them, but I don't.
No,
I hate
like
the Nets.
no, not like what would you like to see like your personal like and you like a little change? Like who would you like to see? Like for me it's Milwaukee and Suns. Like that'd be fun. I think that'd be really fun.
I want Dallas to make it.
You want Dallas
I
to
think they
make
could.
it? So with me it's just like I want to see Chris Paul or Melo win. That's the only thing.
True.
Uh,
Blazers Nuggets is still a toss up.
what a series that
Yeah.
is, man. Dame's outrageous.
If Blazers beat the Nuggets, I'd want them to make the finals.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think second for me would be the Mavericks. So I like Luka a lot.
Yeah, I just don't know if they have it just yet.
East, Milwaukee's been playing unreal.
I want Milwaukee. Milwaukee for sure.
I really think Milwaukee has a really good chance.
I think the Hawks can beat the Sixers, especially if Embiid's out.
That's
bro.
the huge though. If Embiid's back though, Sixers are legit. I think Sixers will make the finals if Embiid's healthy. They've been playing really good all year, dude.
I don't
They're
know.
like a number 1 seed for a reason.
I don't know if the Sixers beat either the
Like Trae Young.
Nets.
Trae Young's definitely a savage for what he did to the Knicks, but
That was awesome.
that was
I
crazy.
hate New York. Thank
I
you,
was
Trae
rooting for the
Young.
Knicks, dude.
No, screw the
I like
Knicks.
the
Bro.
Knicks.
I
I
don't
like
care. I
Randall.
hope they don't make the playoffs again for 18 years. Get out of here, bro. They're in our division. Go Hawks.
was a
That was
feel-good
awesome.
story.
I love Trae Young now.
You see him
That
take a
was
bow
awesome.
last night?
Yeah, that was
That was
awesome.
awesome.
Trae Young, I'm a huge fan. That picture of him smiling at the
Yeah.
crowd, man. I love that.
I mean, I don't know.
That
I
was
think
awesome. Especially
all
after they spit on the guy. What the
Yeah.
hell, bro?
All right, so let's assume Embiid's out. Let's forget that. So I think
If Embiid's out, the Hawks are winning that series.
Well, I
it
think-
might still go like 6 games, and
so.
if it does,
Let's
he might come
assume
back.
winner
but
of
yeah.
Nets Bucks makes the finals.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, so then you
They
have
are.
the West side. You have the Jazz. They're gonna play the winner of Clippers Mavs, and then you have
Yeah.
the 4-5.
Yeah, they are.
Because then Lakers and Suns are the 2-7, and then Utah Portland 3-6. It's gonna be dude, the West is so much fun to watch.
It is. It is.
I don't know.
So
I'd like to see Nets. Like everyone, NBA wants to see Nets Lakers, but
It's just
that
the-
might not even happen.
it's just the fact that all the West series, first round series, are still going, except obviously
Yeah.
for the top
Well,
seed,
so if
and
Lakers
all the
lose
East
tonight-
is done already. Like that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Because West has always been tougher.
Yeah.
But if
I-
Lakers lose tonight, who do you think to make the finals?
If the Lakers lose tonight and my West favorite is out as a result, man, my second was the Clippers, but that's not
'Cause
looking good for them either.
It's gonna be Jazz versus let's say Mavs or Clippers, and it's gonna be Suns versus. It's gonna be tough either way. I feel like it's too early to make a prediction because we don't know what the second round is yet. But
If they're out right now, if you want my answer right now, the best I can give you is the Jazz. Because I don't even know if the Suns aren't actually out of the first round yet,
True,
and the
and
Blazers
then-
are down in the first round right now. So,
what are you,
I'd
like,
say
Jazz
one of them.
Bucks. It's like
That would be. I wouldn't hate that either. I want some change.
Of
I want some
course.
parity in the NBA. Like I think the Nets still win it, bro. Like, it's an upset if they
True.
don't. It's theirs to lose, and like the playoffs, anything, the finals, whatever. Even if they play the Lakers,
Nets
like I
versus
thought.
in terms of basketball, like entertainment. Nets versus anyone is gonna be fun, just to watch.
I don't think so. I think it would be more fun it just has to be more even for me to think it's going to be fun. Anyone that plays the Nets, it's not even.
I mean,
It's going to get closer as they get
Yeah.
later in the playoffs, obviously. It's going to get closer and closer
saying,
to being
dude,
an
I think
even
Bucks
match
are gonna beat the
series.
Nets.
But
Bucks have worked the Nets all
I
season.
hope they
dude.
do. I want Giannis to make it, man. I feel bad for the guy. I like
so-
Giannis too, but
I'm rooting for the Bucks. I think overall.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. From the East, yeah.
Yeah, just in general. I don't know. Yeah, like Mavericks, Suns. I'm a big.
It's either Bucks or Hawks. I hate the Sixers
Hawks
and I hate the
aren't
Nets.
Hawks
So
aren't I mean,
no, I know, but if I'm being wishful
True.
and like I want to see someone there, it's the Hawks.
Yeah.
Or the Bucks. Screw the Sixers. Screw Philly.
We'll
screw
see.
New York.
It's interesting.
Like,
I think it's
hate
too
all
early
of
to
them.
predict. Let's see how the week plays out.
Not only do I hate those cities, they're in our division. They're in the Celtics division. I want to see those teams
Knicks
do
were a feel
well.
good story this year, dude.
They'll be fine. Now all of a sudden they're good, so they're gonna get some good free agent to come watch. Someone's
Yeah.
gonna go there. They're gonna trade for someone.
They want
Lamar's
Dame.
gonna go there or something. Who
Imagine
knows?
Dame
Like,
goes to the Knicks.
he's not leaving.
Yeah, I
he's
know.
not leaving Portland. Maybe if they get bounced, he might say
Yeah,
something.
I
But
think they'll
he
win.
seems like he's pretty committed to that team. So he
Jokic's
might make
carrying them.
He might make them trade someone else.
True. Well,
Jokic is the
McCollum.
MVP.
I mean, yeah,
If it was-
that goes without
If there was
saying.
no
but
question before, man.
if Murray was healthy, I'd say Nuggets are gonna make the finals, but that's not the case. So I'm rooting for the Blazers to beat them.
yeah,
So I think Blazers can make if Blazers make the finals.
yeah.
That's
That's
huge.
crazy. That'd
I'd
be
love
fun.
that.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun, especially if the Lakers get knocked out. It's gonna be fun the rest of the playoffs.
If Lakers
and the
lose
Clippers.
tonight, it'll
if
be
Lakers
very-
and Clippers are both knocked out, and it's the Jazz, Mavs, and whoever. I don't know.
There are
whatever.
so many memes on Twitter, like they're both seeing each other, like Steph Curry seeing LeBron and Kawhi in Cancun, like out of the first round. Just like so many different types of like jokes about it.
Like enjoying Tatum there too.
Imagine, dude, Lakers lose first round. Could happen tonight.
It was a tough year for them with injuries, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they just win every game for the rest of the playoffs.
Make it or break a game.
If
for LeBron
AD comes
tonight.
back.
I think LeBron's gonna drop like 40 points tonight at least.
Do they win though? If he does,
Yeah, dude, they have to win.
but do they win even if he drops 40? Like I feel like it's gonna take more than that.
I think they'll win tonight.
So it's gonna go 7 games.
LeBron knows how big this game is.
Is Chris Paul actually hurt?
Yeah, I think so.
Ooh.
But he's still playing. I don't even
Yeah.
know if Davis is playing tonight. They didn't announce it yet.
Right, yeah, he's not officially out. I don't think yet. So
I think Dallas is gonna.
he
Close
might
it
have to
out.
force it. He might
And-
have to force
yeah,
it.
I think he'll play.
I think
Dallas will close it out tomorrow, whatever.
call me crazy. I think the Clippers come back.
Really, dude? They don't have
Yeah.
a backbone, bro.
I just think they come
No,
back.
they're not.
I can just see it happening.
What? They lost. They choked 3-1 last year
I can see it. I can see them coming back. But Luka
Honestly.
kills them, so who knows?
at home at Dallas. I don't think they're gonna win.
Luka loves playing the Clippers.
Yeah.
So
And I don't like the Clippers that much, but I don't think they're gonna win.
I could see them coming back. I'll take that back. I don't think they are, but I won't be surprised if they do at all. I won't be surprised. So, yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to
No,
go
I mean,
about?
I think we covered all the bases.
Celtics, figure your shit out, man. Please, this offseason. I can't take it anymore. Please.
We'll pray for them.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys. See you next time.
Ice on my neck, that's